Good afternoon. My name is Susan Doyle from Box Media and I will be your facilitator today. I would like to welcome you to Lean Construction Ireland's 25th webinar, the topic of which is Ardmac, our lean story so far, presented by Fergus Nugent from Ardmac. If you have a question, please type it in the question box and we will consolidate and ask Fergus in the second half of the webinar. If there are any questions that we don't get answered during the webinar, we will follow up by email afterwards. The webinar has been brought to you by Lean Construction Ireland in conjunction with Box Media, their media and communications partner. The speaker for today is Fergus Nugent. Fergus is Technical Manager at Ardmac, a leading specialist construction company. Fergus has significant experience in the construction industry and joined Ardmac as an architectural technologist in 2011. In his current role, Fergus is responsible for researching and implementing digital technologies and processes to complement other lean initiatives with the team at Ardmac. Fergus has a Bachelor of Science Honours degree from Waterford Institute of Technology, is a member of the Chartered Institute of Architectural Technologists, and is currently completing an MSc in Construction Project Management. I will now pass you over to Fergus to start his presentation.
Thank you, Susan. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd just like to say I'm delighted to get the opportunity to take part in this webinar. The quality of the LCI guests are always exceptional, so it really is a privilege to be amongst those. As Susan said, I will be speaking about our lean journey so far at Ardmac, and I hope that all of you can take some aspects of the presentation away with you and apply them in your organisation. So just to give you a quick overview of the structure of the presentation, I'm going to say a few words about Ardmac just to give you some context. I'll then speak about what lean means to us at Ardmac. Then I'll explain our smart lifecycle approach and some of the technologies that we've been using at each stage of our projects. And I'll then discuss the benefits our clients realise from our use of lean and technology before finishing with our vision for the future and a quick conclusion. So, Ardmac are an international construction specialist. We deliver complex, high-value workspaces and technical environments. We're in business for 42 years. We're based in Dublin with offices in Northern Ireland, Manchester and Brussels. Our vision is to be the contractor of choice for clients and the workplace of choice for great people. We have over 300 staff. We've completed 750 projects in the last 5 years and over 5,000 since 1977. We've won the ROSPA Gold Award for safety 19 years running. And we've built over 200,000 square meters of data centers in the last 3 years and over 200,000 square meters of clean rooms in the last 6 years. And we currently have live projects in 8 countries. We work in 4 key areas, which are clean rooms, data centers, fit out and refurbishment and construction. And we find that operating in multiple sectors across numerous regions gives us an opportunity to work with some amazing clients. And through these relationships, we've been able to implement the latest technologies and construction techniques, and we're going to talk about those as we go through the presentation. We have 5 guiding principles, which are safety first, understand our customers, respect always, excellence is a standard, and deliver our brand promise. And these principles have really become core to everything we try and do within the company, and we'll see how we link these to everything we try and do in terms of our lean and digital strategies as we go through the presentation. Last year, we won several awards, which we're very proud of. We won the Innovation in Construction Award for our lean strategy. We won Lean Business of the Year at the Lean Business Awards, and we won the Innovation for Growth programme with Enterprise Ireland. So as a construction company, we're particularly proud to win a wider Lean Business Award, where the construction industry would traditionally be seen as an unproductive area. It's great to be able to compete with manufacturing companies and come out with an award like that. So we're very proud and humbled to receive that recognition. And that's really, I suppose, inspired us to move on even further. So jumping on into lean and what were the drivers that led us to adopt lean techniques. Back in around 2015, as lean was becoming more common in the industry, we had some client demand for the implementation of lean principles on a project, and in this scenario, it was last planner. Around about the same time, we also wanted to improve our efficiencies and productivity across the business. So after some research, we felt that lean construction was the best fit for us as an organisation to develop our guiding principles. But in order to do that, we needed to educate ourselves. Back then, we had very little knowledge of what lean construction actually entailed, and we had even less knowledge of how to implement it company-wide. So we decided to send some staff out to the regional LCI events to gain some understanding. We supplemented this with some green and yellow belt training. And we also had some great assistance from some of the lean service providers around the country. And these have really helped us in not only the development of our lean strategy, but also in the implementation of it. And we're going to talk about that again in a little bit. And then finally, and probably most importantly, we formed a multi-departmental lean governance team, which provides a forum for all things lean and Ardmac. And again, as we go through the presentation, that will become a little bit clearer. Since then, we've been able to implement quite a few tools and processes to support our lean implementation. The lean governance team was definitely very central to all of these tools and processes being implemented, because as you can see, there's quite a few, and these are not obviously all the lean tools that are available. So it's very important to pick and choose ones that are right for your company and apply them in a way that's actually going to stick and be successful into the future. We found that Last Planner was a very good entry level point for lean. It's easy to understand, it's not overly expensive to implement, and the focus is on collaboration and cooperation. And we've seen some amazing benefits from this, and we're currently rolling Last Planner on all projects, and we're trying to now learn from the metrics from that. Other methods, such as the 6S workplace organization method, have been very effective, and we're actually currently rolling this out again on all projects and in all offices in 2019. And finally, technology, when it's used correctly, is a very powerful tool. And I'll speak again as we go through the presentation a bit more about that and how we've applied technology to solve the problems that we've come across. We've rolled up the use of all these tools under the banner Building Smart. We want to be seen as a smart contractor that maximizes value for our clients. As I mentioned, our governance team was really the foundation upon what we built our strategy around. Before that, we had a number of different strategies in the company. Most were very successful, but we found that they were not aligned in all cases. Different departments and sectors could potentially have been competing for resources and different attention. So through the lean governance team, which is a cross-departmental team, we are able to better align our strategies. The team meets monthly to review where we are in terms of lean and if any strategies need to be revised. As each strategy feeds into the lean governance team, there's a much wider understanding of how the strategies can better align, and it prevents any overlaps or even worse, strategies pulling in the opposite directions. And from here, we can directly influence our various business unit strategies, which then roll up into our overall group strategy. So we find this is a far more streamlined process that maximizes the effect of anything we're trying to do. And it also ensures that everything complements each other as much as possible. This is also the first year where we're going to have a defined innovation strategy. And we're really excited to see how this is going to work in with our lean strategy, which will roll up into our group strategy. We developed a lean framework which runs through to 2021, and it starts by linking any initiative that we're trying to implement to our 5 guiding principles that I mentioned before. It's based on the Shingo model for lean. First, you can see here we have understand our customers, where we focused on, as I said, Last Planner, and we're currently ahead of schedule and rolling out a Last Planner software system, and this is going very well so far. Next was Safety First, where we place a major emphasis on safety at Ardmac. The 6S workplace organisation method is currently being rolled out across all projects, as I said, and the intent here is that a tidy workplace is the foundation for any safe workplace. Our Safety First programme focuses on encouraging all employees to take responsibility for their safety. In the Respect Always section, we are focusing on our employees and providing training and upskilling to support our lean effort, and this may include lean training or may include technology upskilling as needed. In Excellence is a standard where we begin to add the use of tools and benchmarking that allows us to gain efficiencies and also understand our levels of performance in relation to other projects. We'll also look where we can to implement technology and see where this can help us, as I said, to solve specific problems. And finally, in Deliver Our Brand Promise, we place a heavy emphasis on Sky Blue, which is our CSR platform, which allows us to give back to the community in some ways. We're also working with Managing by Metrics, which is a very easy to follow method for managing productivity. The end point for that is to being able to deliver 210 million of turnover. We want to manage our projects through building better. We want to continue with excellence in continuous improvement. We want customer focus and centricity, and we also want 100% of our people empowered to drive innovation and change. And finally, we want to achieve the Go Chingo Award. Creating a culture. So one of the things that we learned in the last couple of years is that leadership is a key requirement for implementing any organization transformation. Without the support of leaders within the company, our lean implementation will not be successful. Some of the key requirements that we've seen are: we need to understand lean philosophy and lean principles, and it's very difficult to implement something without an understanding of how it all works. We need to demonstrate commitment. Lean can take 5 to 10 years, maybe even longer. So continuous and long-term commitment from leaders is vital. And we have that currently, which is great. But you need to demonstrate a willingness to change, and probably more importantly, an ability to change. We need to be open to review what's working and what's not working, and be able to change. Otherwise, the whole process won't work. We want to create a culture that promotes learning. So ideas are generated from all levels of the business. We want to move away from a top-down approach. Innovation needs a forum where all employees can contribute. And we've implemented a system in Ardmac that promotes innovation within the company. It's very important to resource the lean strategy. We currently have a lean champion, which is Jason Casey, and a lean governance team, as I mentioned. And this allows us to get feedback about our lean strategy across the business, and not just focus on a specific sector or region, that is actually taking into consideration the entire organization. And that's very important, we feel. You need to include your lean policies as part of the overall organization strategy. And that's what we tried to demonstrate in the previous couple of slides, is that it's not enough to have a lean strategy in someone's drawer and reviewing it once a year. It needs to become core and central to everything you're trying to do within the company. And that's really important. It's very important for your leaders to become coaches and invest time in developing leadership skills within the company. And then you need to focus on lean tools and potentially technology where possible to reinforce all of the above. When we first began the journey back in 2015, it was due to external factors, which was a client request. But as of now, I'm very happy to say that the drivers for lean are from within the organization. So to achieve a cultural change, it involved a focus on people, technology, and process. And by focusing on all those three together, it's allowed us to embed that within the company. We found that changing behavior first, then changes mindset. So if you start to act differently, you begin to think differently. And that's from a book that I read called Unlearn by Barry O'Reilly, and it's really good and easy to follow tips and to support your business. I strongly recommend a read of that. But basically, by implementing tools and people seeing the benefits of those tools, people start to kind of buy into the whole lean philosophy, and it kind of gathers momentum, which is really important. Over the past 9 months, we've, as I said, completed the Innovation for Growth program with Enterprise Ireland. The outcome of that course for us has been amazing. Among other things, we developed a lean process for innovation, which might be unusual for a construction company, but we feel this will serve us very well for the future. The program has given us a common language and tools to discuss new ideas within our company. One of our guiding principles is to understand our customers. So what we want to do is identify customer needs. We want to reframe those needs into outcomes, and then deliver solutions to these unmet needs linked to a business model so that we can actually deliver some results. In the world we live in today, we feel innovation is crucial for a company's continued success. The I4G program has reframed our thinking about innovation and allowed us to encourage innovation through our lean governance team and a number of other idea generation initiatives within the company. So that's kind of a brief overview of lean within Ardmac. I now want to just talk through our smart project lifecycle. There's such an abundance of technology today that it can be very overwhelming. There's trends in the industry such as artificial intelligence, automation, Internet of Things. All these potentially industry-changing trends are emerging. But at Ardmac, we probably want to try and implement technology to improve our processes and add value to our customers. We want to implement technology to solve specific problems. And in order to do this, we want to identify customer needs and reframe them, as I said in the previous slide, that can actually deliver outcomes and solve the problems that our customers are having. So with this in mind, we've adopted a smart lifecycle approach to delivering our projects digitally to the same high standard that we deliver our projects physically. And we call this building smart. And here you can see our smart lifecycle. And the intent here is to streamline workflows at each stage of the project, but also improve information transfer across the stages and departments, and remove any of the traditional silos that are associated with the construction industry. I'm going to start at the tender stage and then just talk through how we've implemented some digital tools to help us at each stage. At tender stage, we use estimation software that allows us to digitally measure quantities. If there's a 3D model at this time, we can extract quantities from this, but if not, we can generate our own model, as you see quickly here. The software then allows us to create and manage trade packages and links to our ERP system for further cost management. We can also complete some 4D animation at tender stage to visually demonstrate our proposed delivery of the project, which kind of gives clients some comfort in our ability. So here you can see, as we said, we just created a very basic 3D model from a 2D PDF and extracted the quantities from that. Moving on to design, we're currently rolling out a company-wide BIM training program. On most of our projects, especially in the pharma industry or the data centers, we will relocate to a client or consultant's office to form part of a multidisciplinary design team, where we're using early contractor engagement certainly pays benefits. So getting the detailed contractor insights at an early stage in the design reduces the rework further on in the process. And as buildings become more complex, it's crucial to have this detailed expertise at an early stage to influence the design of the facility. Here, as you've seen in the video there, we can create clash reports digitally to solve any issues at design stage long before it gets to site, and we find that that's very effective and probably used to good effect across the industry. We have recently then began to link project models to the project schedule, which is known as 4D BIM. This allows us to visually review the works and also identify any potential sequence clashes with other trades. It's early days for us here yet, but the potential is absolutely massive. For clients to be able to visually engage in these animations, they can get a better understanding of how the works are going to progress, rather than looking at a detailed, say, traditional project schedule. And I think that this space here has a massive potential to become used across the industry as a standard. Moving on to design for manufacture and assembly. This is a very interesting trend emerging in the industry, as we kind of seen from Bryden Wood's webinar at the last LCI webinar. So by generating detailed 3D models, we can then classify and quantify our materials directly from the model. We're then able to transfer this information digitally to our manufacturing partners' production software, and this greatly reduces the amount of manual counting. It minimizes the risk of human error, and it improves accuracy greatly. So here we just created a detailed bill of quantities for a 1,500 meter square clean room, and the time it is taken to discuss this slide. So that's a real massive benefit for us to quantify our materials, which can be very complex sometimes. Moving on to construction, the construction site is where we see most of the benefits from technology implementation. So we've launched a project management platform, and it's live on all projects since February. We estimate we're going to save multiple thousand hours in 2019 as a result. This provides it's a cloud-based single source of information and allows us to manage all of our project data in one place. The software allows us to complete snagging, inspections, audits using any mobile device by pinning the item to its location on the drawing for easy reference. We are now able to capture project performance data in real time from our projects, and it gives us great insights into potential issues and allows us to focus on being proactive rather than reactive. Here you can see in the video clip just some demonstrations of how people interact with the software. We also invite our clients and partners to use our system so that they have access to critical information at the same time as well. And this has been a real benefit for us, not only just our design teams, but mainly our site teams, to be able to have access to all of this information on mobile devices or tablets in the field, and it's been great. In terms of commercial, we have an ERP system that ensures that the commercial management of our projects uses real-time cost data. We extract quantities from the model to reduce manual measurement requirements. All stakeholders have access to that single source of information that I mentioned before, meaning that people are always working on the right revision and things like that, which can be underestimated sometimes, the importance of that. We also monitor our subcontractor performance in real time from our project management platform that I mentioned. And here you can just see just a sample of a dashboard that can allow you to visually manage the cost data on a project. Moving on to handover, and this is, I suppose, where we will kind of get into the futuristic side of things, where as a standard we can link O&M information to 3D information rich models, which is a much more user-friendly way of handing over. This can be taken a step further using QR codes on physical plant that is then linked to data sheets or to models, and that's fine. And recently then we've been looking at using augmented reality technology to digitally tag assets, physical assets in the field with augmented reality technology. So when an operator walks through the facility, they can see asset tags which contain maintenance information, contains videos about how to fix any problems, and then also a remote link to an expert that can potentially provide further assistance. And we feel that is a very interesting trend. Very early days at the moment, but it's also a very interesting trend that we're trying to work on at the minute with some clients. Moving on then to upgrade. So this is kind of coming back full life cycle, where refurbishments are a big part of continuous improvement. The strict time pressures required in shutdown work or upgrade work require intense detail and planning. And here you can see how we kind of very basically visually sequence and plan the works day by day to ensure that the program is achievable and clear to everybody. And you can use detailed as-built BIM models if available, or else laser point cloud surveys to gain an accurate insight into the existing conditions on site. So that's kind of a high-level overview of our smart project lifecycle. So now I'll discuss the benefits for our clients. The benefits we offer our clients by implementing these technologies include safer projects with more added value, higher quality with less defects, better efficiencies, better cost and schedule certainty, and then you end up with digital assets at handover stage, which will greatly reduce maintenance costs as the building is operated for many years to come. So moving on then, I suppose with all that in mind, we're very excited to see what the future holds. In terms of Ardmac, we want to continue to educate our staff with focusing on leaders as coaches, which is very important. We want to continue the last planner rollout and focus then on the metrics we're getting from the last planner system, and actually learning from the trends and seeing if we can be, as I said, more proactive rather than reactive. Our lean governance team will continue to aid measurement and development. We want to continue the integration of lean culture across the organization. We're going to continue with the Shingo model for implementation as part of our strategy. We want to digitize all processes across the organization. And we want to kind of aim for 25% of revenue from new products, services, or business offerings by 2022 as a result of innovation. And that's kind of a very ambitious target, but it definitely is something that we're setting our sights on. So in our eyes, the question is, it's no longer why lean, it's why not lean. We talked about leadership as being crucial to success. We feel collaborative forms of contract such as IPD, which I haven't had much time to talk about today, but certainly it is an area that is worth a webinar in itself. These types of collaborative forms of contract are probably the future of the industry, especially for major projects where people focus on working together to deliver the project, and basically everyone tries to maximize the project rather than their piece of the project, and we're definitely seeing some benefits of that. We want to implement technology where we can and find help with this from experts if we don't have the expertise in-house. We feel the future is bright, and I think technology and innovation and lean will be at the center of everything we do. Just in a brief conclusion, we found that by focusing on problems to be solved, we can apply lean or technology in a specific and focused way. And then this allows us to quickly determine if the investment is worthwhile or if maybe we should scratch it. And we're very much trying to be client focused, and we're trying to maximize value for our customers. And in other words, we're just going to continue to build smart. So that's all from me. So thanks very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and we will pass you back to Susan now.
Thanks, Fergus. Thanks for that very insightful presentation. We'll now move on to the Q&A. We have a few questions in. How hard was it to align the various strategies in the business?
It's a very good question. Traditionally, it would have been very hard, but because of the formation of the governance team, where people actually met regularly, it meant that people in the different departments were aware of the different initiatives that were happening, and it meant that by defining your guiding principles, by defining a vision, and then having a one governance team, it meant that everybody was able to align their strategies towards a common goal, and that was very important. So that actually made it much easier than it would have been traditionally, where you have your kind of silo departments potentially.
Okay. Another question in, have you had any success in implementing the innovation process?
Yeah, so I suppose the way this innovation process was working, obviously a number of us went on the Enterprise Ireland course, learned all about innovation, which was great, and then we had to come back to the business and explain that to everybody. And sometimes we were getting looked at as if we had two heads. But so what we did is we focused on actually bringing that innovation process into down through the organisation. And what we've had is, by implementing an idea generation forum within the company, is that ideas are starting to flow up through the company rather than being top down, and that's actually been very good, and it's actually really engaged employees from all levels to be able to contribute with their ideas and see that any idea that they have is going through an actual process and how it's progressing in that process, which is important that people have oversight, and that's actually has had great success, to be honest. We're very happy about that.
Okay, brilliant. Has there been any pushback in the company during the lean and technology implementation?
I'd say not pushback. I would say that some people at the start would be hesitant, because people can get, I suppose, overwhelmed sometimes with as I said, the amount of technology that's available. It can be very overwhelming, especially. So it all really comes down to how you try to implement it. So if you're trying to force all of this stuff onto people and they're already very busy, that obviously will be pushback. But if you can actually, I suppose, maybe take your time, explain the desired outcomes that we're trying to achieve, and show them step by step and with plenty of support, that's how people start to engage and stop feeling kind of worried or overwhelmed that what we're trying to achieve is towards a goal and there's a reason for it. People are more kind of inclined to do that, and to be honest, the engagement has been fantastic, and we're very happy with that. But I think it's about the way you implement it rather than, I suppose, trying to force it onto people.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question here, did you use any consultants to help align the strategies?
Yes, yeah, we did, yeah. So we, in terms of the lean strategy, as I said, we definitely was a service provider. It was Crystal Lean Solutions. They've been a massive help for us throughout the process. Like, we're a construction company. Lean implementation is not our area of expertise. We've had to learn that, and I think that if you're a company just starting on the lean journey, trying to do that all yourself can be quite a challenge. There's amazing expertise in Ireland, especially if you look at Lean Construction on the website, and those people have been through this and they can help and support you. And I feel that asking for help at an early stage would greatly benefit any company thinking of adopting lean. It doesn't matter how big or small. I would recommend that strongly.
Okay. Another question here for you. Would you feel your lean strategy has pulled the different functions of the business closer together?
Yeah, I think getting people in a room with the kind of with the brief that we're trying to reduce waste, we're trying to add value, and a very clear goal, it opens people up to actually become focused, and I think that's been great. And as I said, by aligning what you're trying to achieve, and then you're bringing that down through each department, people are kind of all pulling in the same direction, and that's been a great success.
Yeah.
And I find even just people being in the same room and talking about the issues they're having across the company, people kind of start to become more engaged because they feel they can see that the issues, they're not specific to that person or that role or that sector. They're issues that happen all throughout the industry, or you know what I mean, and it kind of brings people a bit closer together. So that's an added benefit outside of the lean governance team, just by being in the same room. But the lean governance team certainly was a big part in aligning what we're trying to do.
Okay. What has been the biggest challenge to date?
So I would say the biggest challenge is trying to be consistent across multiple regions, jurisdictions, project types. People's experience differs vastly. So just because someone is very good at their job doesn't mean that they're going to be an expert lean implementation trainer. So it's taking time. It takes time for people to, I suppose, understand what we're trying to do and achieve, and then also understand how they are impacting on that and adopting it. So it's not a sprint. It's definitely a marathon. The biggest challenge is as consistency, and we've kind of worked really hard on that. And you can see that lean framework is a visual way of showing everybody in the company where we're trying to get to. But you can only, I suppose, I would say, push so much information into an organization. It's like steering a cruise ship. It's not going to happen straight away. It's kind of gradual, focused implementation, and that's kind of, yeah, that's what we found the biggest challenges.
Okay. What has been the biggest success to date?
Um, uh, I'd say it's, I suppose overall we obviously we're getting better efficiencies. In turn we're getting less quality defects. We're getting happier clients. But that all comes from delivering projects in a way and kind of in a consistent way, which results in, I suppose, a happier project. And that kind of those intangible benefits, I would say, have been the biggest success, where we're kind of given a tool set and a language to be able to deliver projects, and that kind of makes it more enjoyable. If that's kind of, if that makes sense.
And how important has communication been?
It's critical. Communication in anything is critical. Without communication, and I think clear communication, none of this works. Sometimes I think with all the technology we have, we assume communication is going to happen automatically, but it definitely doesn't. And you need to be consistent and clear, I think, from top down and bottom up of what we're trying to do, why we're trying to do it. As I said, you're trying to link everything to the desired outcome, and that kind of allows people to visualize why we're doing all of this. So there's if there's no point in implementing something if something's not going to change, and by focusing on the end result, what we're trying to achieve, people can actually weigh in behind it. But if that doesn't get communicated clearly, it's just a load of stuff that you're trying to do, and people aren't really sure why, or people might be confused, or people might get frustrated. So that's been the biggest challenge. Well, it's been a big challenge, but also, as I said, by doing it well, it greatly helps the situation.
And would you have any examples of how you keep these channels open?
So, for example, the idea generation forum that we're talking about, where people can actually send an idea into a forum. They can visually see that the idea is being issued and registered. Then they can see that as it moves through the phases of our process, where their idea is. If anyone has any comments on it, there's a kind of a process. So that's kind of a very visual way of seeing how they're contributing to innovation at the company. In terms of management communication, we could have town hall meetings, we could have through the lean governance team. As I said, we have that framework which is available to all employees, or discussed with all employees, that people can see the initiatives that are happening in the company and the rough timelines of as things are happening, and then basically there's a communication back the way we have an internal workplace, almost as like a workplace Facebook, where basically people are just kept in the loop of everything that's going on in the company, and there's a very visual way of keeping on top of things. And then we have obviously internal newsletters, just to reinforce all that as well.
Okay, one question here. If lean is a way of thinking to improve flow of value for the customer, how do you support functions to get out of their silos and unlearn old habits?
Very good question. Yeah. I suppose by putting the infrastructure in place that basically to make collaboration easy. I've done a lot of research on this recently to see why the flow of information on projects is traditionally so bad. If you do have BIM standards on your project, for example, people might have specific platforms for managing information, but yet information still seems to get lost across company boundaries or across department boundaries. And the only way that really works is with on a project level, is by people focusing on cooperation and collaboration. There's no I don't think it's a magic formula, but I think if people commit to cooperating, that's when information flows very well. Obviously, if you have a platform in place to help you with that, that's great, but you can't force somebody to put a document in a certain place. You have to actually explain to them, and I suppose work with them to explain why they're doing that. And if everyone's focused on cooperating, that will improve information flow. That'll break down the silos. That's where you maximize your flow for clients, for other companies in your team, other people in your company, and the like of that, etc.
Okay, thanks for that, Fergus. That was the last question. So I'd like to thank you again for your presentation. A copy of this webinar will be sent out to everyone who attended. We will send out the information shortly, detailing the next webinar by LinkedIn, Twitter, and newsletter. Thank you again from Fergus and myself on behalf of Lean Construction Ireland. You can follow Lean Construction Ireland on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and through the website leanconstructionireland.ie. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your day.